Hello, 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 everybody. It is so good to see all of your digital non-existent faces in the chat. That's right, you guessed it. Welcome back to Transplanar RPG's main campaign. This is Arc 4, Episode 4, A Flame Seizing for God. I am your game master and producer, Connie. My pronouns are they, he, and she. And you can find me on Twitter, Twitch, Itch, Patreon, etc. at ByConnieChong, ByConniechang, where I'm, a professional game master, actual play performer, game designer, and screenwriter. I'm gonna pass along introductions to Lyra.
Hello everyone, my name is Lyra. I use they, she pronouns. It feels like I haven't seen y'all in a while, but it hasn't been all that long. I am the artistic director of Shout, Minnesota's trans and gender diverse voices in all trans choir based in the Twin Cities. You can check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Shout Minnesota. That's lowercase sh, uppercase OUT, and then the state Minnesota. And if you don't know how to spell that, there's two N's. That's all I got for you. And with that, I'll pass introductions on to Erica.
Hi everybody, I'm Erica, she, her pronouns. I play V-Nox Scherzo, the physical embodiment of the Love Shack starring Scott and Nectus. And you can find me here on Twitch at Erica Newgirl. What? See? What? Okay, you can find me at Erica Newgirl on all social media platforms. I'm a full-time streamer here on Twitch. I'm currently playing Battletoads. I was recently put inside of a video game where I was transformed into a dolphin that fought a goat. That's right. That's just the kind of anarchy you can expect from an Erica Newgirl stream. With that, I will pass it to Max.
Hello, I'm Max. My pronouns are they, them. I am a seamster, I think. So I make a lot of pride flag stuff and maybe working on topsword pillows, who knows? I'll do whatever I can. I'll do whatever I can get my hands on. I will sew whatever I can get my hands on. Yeah, so find me on Instagram and Etsy at Stitchmonger and use the promo code Transplanar on Etsy to get 15% off. I'll pass it to C.
All right, everyone, be careful of Max's hands. Hey, everyone, my name is Sia, use they, them pronouns, and I play the former Prince Okahien, the physical embodiment of the rage that bubbles up inside you when you're already having a pretty bad day and you trip over your own shoe. You can find me posting very gay, very trans art on social medias, pretty much everywhere at PieSharpArt, and occasionally streaming said very gay, very trans art right here on Twitch at pie_sharp. That's right. And with that, I think I'll pass it back to Connie, or is it my turn again? I can never remember.
It's my turn, you got it right. So as always, a huge shout out to our Patreon Paragons, one of whom, we see you, Chiakres, just donated $100. And I think it was Risa Malima who donated another like $20 earlier. So thank you to the two of you. We're at 140 out of 200 for our goal already. So what? Y'all are incredible. Thank you. Yeah, so here's a big shout out to y'all, our Patreon Paragons. These are patrons pledged to our highest tier on Patreon. A huge thank you and shout out to Abigail Reitel, Azura, Brooke Bright, Cassidy Barnes, Charles, Chiakres, Cora Eckert, Lex Slater, Moonflower T, Purple Mouse, and Risa. We love you all so much, and we're so glad that you're here. And as always, a special haiku for you. Count them. Put up your fingers and count them with me. Paragon Showdown. Who's gonna come out on top? Mother, father? Child? Which I looked it up as one syllable. Unless you're British, in which child is 2 syllables. So if anyone wants to come out right now as a member of the UK, feel free to do so.
Manaya will jump out of this campaign and
Manaya's
beat your
from
ass for that.
Uhanahi, which
Uh-huh.
which is inspired by various Pacific islands, which are very far away from Britain.
I'm pretty sure V would have that as 3-syllable word, just saying.
Child Day? Get out of here, V. You're
Child.
no longer a paragon. I'm gonna destroy your ass. So I'm gonna pass along announcements to C.
All right, we've got hands and ass. Let's go. Arc 1 episodes 1 through 14 are now available wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget those polished podcast episodes release Tuesdays at the ass crack of dawn, so you can have them whenever you want them. We did miss an episode release this past week because shit's been going on. But that we will be back on track this Tuesday with the end of Arc 1. Wow, we are catching up. And if you are a patron, you can get access to all of those podcast episodes early, as well as exclusive character sheets, and even the chance to have your tabletop OC cameo in this live stream. If you want to learn more about that, you can use the !Patreon command in chat to pledge today. And finally, you know it, you love it, Volume 1 of Andake Anthologies, The Hounds of Mercy versus Mercy's 7 Evil Exes, and all of Andake, Episode 5, streams this coming Tuesday, October 12th at 7 p.m. U.S. Central Time. Check out the previous VOD for some delicious roleplay featuring everyone's favorite Paragon of the Raven Queen, Sitlali. And with that, I'll pass it to Erica.
How dare? How dare? We've reached my favorite part of the episode where I get to thank all of you who do such kind, wonderful things like donating, whether it's monthly or subbing, gift subbing, cheering, hosting, and those who are who rated us during Arc 4, Episode 3, and Episode 4 of The Hounds. Erica Newgirl, Rika Honda, Risa Malima, Pie Sharp, Scruffuses, Pookie Piku, Quintastic, Eugene Marshall, Chill Acres, and DM Steve. Moving on to this episode, just like in our past 2 episodes, we are divesting from Twitch's subsystem until Twitch gets its shit together. And so instead of a sub goal, we have a donation goal of $200. Check out these brand new incentives. At $25, $50, $75, and then $100, one random PC will get another point of inspiration. At $125, we unlock collective inspiration, and at $150, we unlock an auto crit, which anyone at the table can use, including GM Connie. And finally, at $200, we get a huge lore drop from GM Connie. Use command donate in chat to pull up the donation link at any time. And now, Max, my favorite part, which is where you remind me how awesome the story is by reminding me what's happening right now.
That's my favorite part too. If you ever forget, like I sometimes do, you can use the ! Recap command in the chat or go to bit.ly/transrecap, the T and the R are capitalized. Here is what I wrote down about last session. Oka crash lands in their ex-fiance's bedroom and makes an absolute mess of their things. So much for a stealthy entry. The guards quickly see through their desperate attempts to sneak off and tie them up. Manaya teaches the team a rudimentary flower code. V does some arcane disguise sculpting on the team that somehow passes the guards' pat-down. The 2 parties, unbeknownst to them, move towards a convergence point in the castle, with Oka beating old rival Prince Mo within an inch of his life, and the fake Doka party meeting up with ex-fiancé and dream prophet Halo along the way. Finally, they enter the throne room from opposite doors and see and feel the presence of the Emperor bearing down upon them. Dun, dun, dun. And I will pass it to Lyra for today's session title.
Of course. Unfortunately, I cannot recap this episode as it hasn't happened yet. But what I can give you is the title of Arc 4, Episode 4. As always, the titles of our episodes are taken from poems, or songs, or just other pieces of text written by queer, trans, and or people of color. The title of this episode, A Flame Seizing for God, is from Baptism in Not Here by Hugh Min Nguyen. And the full verse reads as follows. Convinced she's in hell, my mother wakes me and begs to be taken to the lake. Wailing in prayer on the kitchen floor, her skin itching with heat, a flame seizing for God. I believe her. One day we will all know when suffering comes to play the instrument of our bodies.
What a freaking raw verse. Check out Not Here by Hugh Min Nguyen. It's published by Coffee House Press, which is a local, but also international publishing house based here in Minneapolis. They've got some really baller stuff, and Hugh Min Nguyen is a very, very talented poet, so check it out. And now, moving on to the session itself, as always, Transplanar RPG is set in a grim, dark, gritty fantasy world that deals with difficult subjects that are potentially triggering to some viewers. So some content warnings for our campaign in this episode may include nightmares, death, fantasy violence, gore, horror, toxic and abusive relationships, guns, natural disasters, alcohol and substance use, addiction, memory loss, emotional trauma and baggage, self-destructive behavior, bloodletting, cult and cult-like behavior, and anxiety and panic attacks described in detail. I also want to add that there might be difficult family relationships and familial dynamics in here, though not abusive familial dynamics, just difficult ones, like having daddy issues, right? Might come up this session. So use !CW at any point in chat for a full list of those content warnings, and !safety for a full list of the casts, lines, and veils, so you know what sort of content we definitely won't cross the line into, no matter how dark things get. So with that out of the way, let's get started. Going to wait for C to stop tippy typing on their keyboard. I don't know if you could like see me glaring at you, but I don't know if you can with your peripheral vision. Okay, let's get right into it. Manaya, Dewey, and V. Let's backtrack for a moment. We are gonna see Halo leading the three of you through flower-dappled courtyards, under burnished wooden awnings, past gurgling brooks, stone bridges, koi fish suspended in globes of floating, swirling water. Halo leads you past all of this, the finery and the officiants and the sweet breezes of the slumbering palace, until she begins to climb a flight of massive stone stairs. At the top of the stairs, you crane your necks to see the throne building, a blue palace with 3 silver roofs, its doors guarded by heavily armored infantry. As the three of you follow suit, what do you say to each other and/or Halo?
I think once the group has moved a bit on from the guards that we met, back at the door, once they're sort of like outside of earshot, I think V will speak to Halo. And of course, like V is still disguised self as this like human-esque monk in dark armor, and so V is gonna say something along the lines of, I have to get back in that that mindset again right now. I'm so glad, my friend, that you were able to see the mirage from the desert sand.
I'm used to weaving mirages of my own. You will suffer no harm here, long as the 4 of you, and she's including Rev in this statement as well, obey what is, of course, the good and just law of Her Imperial Majesty within these halls.
Of course, we mean no harm. And V kind of like opens to the rest of the group now to sort of include them. We have traveled a great many distance to be here, and we do seek things, but you may already know what we seek here. And as long as, no harm is threatened towards us, we have no threats of harm to others.
I'm glad to hear that, and I very much appreciate the generosity of your pacifism.
That the tall one over there, the really tall one, she's very, very much she may look scary, but she's quite peaceful and wants nothing but good tidings for all.
You'll have to excuse my lackluster command of the language, but rest assured the last thing I would like to do is draw my weapon.
I very much appreciate that. And you. And Halo's pink gaze falls upon Doka. You who are not quite the disgraced prince, do you mean us no harm as well?
Oh, thank God. I don't have to pretend to be. Yeah, no, I don't mean any harm. I certainly can't do It's a good thing I'm not as powerful as, the good prince we know.
Well, I'm sure the four of you are eager to be reunited with your friend. Come. And Halo continues leading the three of you plus Rev into the throne building proper, where we cut back to the present. The Emperor of Tulong, daughter of heaven, lord of 10,000 years, the dream blessed, sits upon a silver throne. A shaft of golden light illuminates their crown, an intricate headdress inlaid with pearls, rubies, sapphires, kingfisher feathers molded into the shape of coiling dragons. A sheer cloth hangs in front of her face, obscuring her royal features from unworthy gazes, such as your own, and yet all of you feel it. The pressure. The oceanic, thrumming, pulsing pressure emanating from the Emperor like a sound wave. The weave pulls against your skins, your pulses quicken, your pupils dilate, your heartbeats thrum against your sternums. You are in the presence of an apex predator. Manaya, Dewey, and V. The three of you and Rev stand across the black marble hall from a contingent of Tulongan elite guards, at least 12 strong, flanking a single prisoner in their center. And all of your eyes, across the shadowy darkness of this throne room, all of your eyes fall upon Oka. Their hair is freshly shorn, their storm gray skin beaded with sweat, their pink scar bisecting their lip curling in defiance. Heavy manacles shackle their wrists, and you all watch as a tiefling captain of the guard anchors Oka to her body with a length of steel chain. Oka, you're home. Nothing and everything has changed. Across the hall, your double-pupiled eyes land not on your friends, but on the person leading them, Halo. Halo is exactly how you remember her. Snow-white skin, pink veins, her body cocooned in softness. Alabaster horns extend from her forehead, curl up, and connect at the top, forming a halo that is also her namesake. She wears these pure white robes and a silver headdress. Her pink eyes land on you, and for a brief instant you see so much emotion welling up in her face like a river brought to flood, before Halo blinks, and she schools that expression back down into a look of placid, detached interest. She's gotten older. Let's focus on you first, Oka. Oka, what do you do?
Can I make out what the expression was?
I assumed you were gonna say, can I make out with Halo? Yes, why don't you roll insight?
There's a brand new redemption that you all should use for that. It's 69 points, bonk, Connie. Insight, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 18.
Okay, 18. Well, this is the first time she's seen you in 7 years, and the note you left on was, one where you were definitely not gonna be back. But there isn't surprise. There's no surprise, no shock on her face. Almost like she was expecting you to be here. The emotion that was welling up, threatening to burst forth, is one of grief. It's just, she looked in that moment so sad and heartbroken. And you even see her pink eyes like blink, and she averts her gaze from you. And as she turns her head, you sort of see like she exposes a slip of her pinkish wrist, and you see that engagement bangle, the same one as Prince Moa's, glimmering in the darkness upon her wrist.
So I think as Oka's looking at her, and I think the way it's framed is that Oka can see Halo, and this flower blooms that's on Manaya's jacket. It blooms and then fades, and as soon as the petals fall to the ground, Oka starts moving. like really slowly at first, and then it's like they remember what gravity is and they just pull forward really hard and really fast against their constraints, just trying to like not really even looking at the Emperor, who's just like over there. It's like they are single-mindedly focused on Halo and closing the distance between them.
Just make like a strength check, let's say, with advantage because you're trying to get to the love of your life.
Natural 19, baby. Plus 2, 21.
Okay, as you just sort of start walking forward, it's like tunnel vision, right? Everything else blurs out, and the only thing your double-pupiled eyes are focused on is this one person that you left 7 years ago on such like a painful, jagged note, right? And you don't even feel like the rest of you see Oka just start walking forward, and it takes like the 12 people like start grasping onto the chains on either side of your shackles, or like like trying to hold you back, but you're just taking like step with step with step with step like forward toward Halo, and like you're dragging I think like 12 people behind you like an ox plowing a field before like the reality of the situation starts setting in, and I think they finally gridlock you. But you've stepped forward quite a few feet, and now you're in the middle of this black marble hall, right? You're like a straight beeline down to your right. 80 feet away is the Emperor and the throne, and you're in the middle of the hallway illuminated by dusty light. And Halo stands in the wings, right, like sandwiched between these two huge pillars of pure sapphire. And she averts her gaze still.
Halo.
Makoya. And she finally speaks your name and turns to look at you, and you see that her pink eyes are brimming with tears, but they don't fall.
And Oka's gaze like falls on the bracelet. I made that for you. Why are you still wearing it?
You died, Makoya. You died, and the rest of us had to move on.
I know. I wish I could have stayed a ghost for you. But I'm not. I'm still here.
You weren't supposed to come back, Makoya. You know the price of your coming back.
I've already died once. What's the second time?
Enough! And the guard that are pulling you, I think, are like yanking on the chains a little bit, and they like rattle and shake in like the dim, empty shadow of this giant hall.
And Oka's hands are like bloody, right? They like punch the shit out of their stepbrother. They're like covered in. You said that they were drenched in blood, so they're literally standing there covered in blood, like against the shackles. But the way that they're holding their hands is so soft, like they just want to like reach out and touch her, but they can't.
Yeah, with your 18 insight also, you know that this is taking every ounce of Halo's willpower not to like break character basically and like run forward and hug you. Like she is very much like has settled into her role as Dream Prophet, and you know Halo, she's very disciplined. There's almost nothing that could sway her from this role, even you. And she's standing there, but her bottom lip is quivering, and she's like, her hands are sort of like, her fingers, she's interlocked her fingers together, and like the sleeves of her robe cover most of her hands, but the exposed bits, you know her too well, are trembling. That's sort of her tell.
Halo. Please. Please. But I don't think they even know what they're asking for.
You're a ghost, Makoya, and ghosts don't belong here. Not in the hallowed throne room of Her Imperial Majesty.
Fine. Fine. If that's how you want it. You can keep the bracelet.
Halo looks at you then, and she opens her mouth like she wants to say something, wants to protest this. But she thinks better of it, and settles back into her robes and back into her role as Dream Prophet. Manaya, Dewey, V, what do the three of you do?
I think as this is going on, Dewey turns his head to V, and is telepathically he elbows her, and then he's like, drop the thing. Like he suddenly can't stand to be this fake Oka. It feels very wrong.
V nods her head and just it's like in the most non way of getting anyone's attention. There's just things just sort of melt off, but almost into a cloud off of everybody, so that they're no longer in disguise.
Okay. As your magic just sort of ripples and gently slides off of your party's body, V, you feel Rev's hand clasp your shoulder. And it's like a firm grasp. And she's trying to alert you to something. Roll Arcana.
Let me just get my bonus on there. 19.
It's not just Rev trying to alert you to something, it's got a Nectus inside you as well. Ever since you took that first step, right, up the massive stone stairs leading up to this throne building, the god shards inside of you have begun to stir. Right, they've started to thrum against the tendrils of your soul, and now that you're actually inside this black marble hall, both Scod and Nectus are sort of rearing their heads up, right, almost like lions, perking their ears up when they smell blood or when they smell prey. And it's these two predators inside you are beginning to wake and rouse themselves. You can feel the weave within your soul start to stretch tight as they awaken from slumber. And with your 19 Arcana check, you know the reason why the gods inside your Paragon soul, V, are reacting in such a way is because that person 80 feet away, seated upon that throne, and let's say your miscolored eyes even turn subconsciously and look. And it's sort of just like Oka with Halo, you tunnel vision up to the Emperor, to her shielded face, to that huge, massive silver throne with the tortoise and the dragon and the Telian and the phoenix fanning out like silver tendrils behind it. That person is a Paragon. And because you're a fully realized Paragon, you know this in that moment.
I think V would cast a message to Rev of, do we come in peace or... There's a lot going on right now. What do you think we should do?
You hear Rev's voice sort of reverberating in the chamber of your mind say, everything the Raven Queen has told me, everything I know about Mungshan Jirdi is that he is wise and he is calculating and he knows of many things. We should not provoke his ire. We should talk.
V sends a quick message of, you're right. And V sort of clears her throat audibly so everyone can hear, and speaks in common. Friends, I see many treasures in this room right now. It would be perhaps wise for us to take a moment so that no harm comes to anybody's treasures. Nobody wants any treasures to be harmed right now. Let's just be calm.
And I think from the last thing that Halo had said, or like the last thing that Halo hadn't said, rather, like they're still struggling against the restraints, right? But now it's becoming like angrier and angrier, that they're just like starting to like fight and twitch in this way where they're almost like electric currents are running like up and down Oka's body. And they like look at V, and there's like a moment of like actual realization. And then it's like they suddenly remember exactly where they are, and their head like whips to the side. And they look at the Emperor.
And as all eyes in this great hall fall upon this figure seated upon this elevated throne made of pure silver, the Emperor speaks. Though she has this cloth drape in front of her face, her words are not muffled, and they boom, thrumming with quiet power throughout this chamber, refracting off of the black marble, the pillars of pure sapphire, the silent guard standing post. Child, you are a long way from exile.
And just kind of like fighting with the guards still. They're like, let go of me! Let go!
You know the cost of your return, Makoya.
And they kind of like flip their head back up. And they shake it. I'm not here for you. I'm not here because I want to be.
Then why, pray tell, are you here?
Where the fuck is Dream Hunter?
Dream Hunter this entire time is still being held, I think, by one of the soldiers now. Not the captain of the guard, because she passed Dream Hunter on so she could like hold you back because you're like raging against the manacles. But one of her soldiers, I think you catch the glimmering of that hilt from like your periphery, and you see Dream Hunter in that random person's grasp.
Yeah, that's gonna be where my hand is going right now. To Dream Hunter.
Okay. Are you trying to call Dream Hunter to you like you did earlier, or are you just gonna go for it and grab it?
I think it's more of a scramble.
Okay, just make like it's not gonna be a super high DC because everyone's so distracted by the Emperor, let's say. Make a sleight of hand check.
16?
That is sufficient. Describe to me what it looks like as you grab Dream Hunter.
So Oka uses blood chains when they fight, so they're kind of used to using chain that is literally connected to their body. And I think they use it as this kind of like pulley lever where they like kind of have like twisted the chains up a little bit just by struggling. And when they pull it, uses this like chain reaction all the way down where all the guards kind of like stumble and come forward. And this person also like gets bumped in the back and stumbles forward, and since they like pulled back, they now have some leeway with the chain, and their hand just goes for it. They wield it, point it at the Emperor for just a second, and then it just flies out of their hand as they stick it into the ground in front of them, like throwing down the gauntlet.
Are you returning what is not yours and what is rightfully mine, or are you challenging me, child?
You took everything from me. I will die before I leave this chamber, and you don't understand that.
I'm pleased to see that you at least understand the stakes of your presence here. And the Emperor rises from her throne, and it's sort of like a whisper of wind as her like deep sapphire blue robes like hiss against the silver of her throne. She gets up, the robes sort of like just like water drape off of her body. And even from this far away, all of you can see that she's quite tall. You can't really tell what her race is or what she even looks like because of that face covering, but she's definitely like humanoid, right? With these like almost like slender shoulders that these robes bask off of like sunlight. She looks down 80 feet at you, and says, "The price of your return, of course, is death." And go ahead. Okay, I thought you were going to say something, but before I do something. The Emperor holds out her right hand, and you see the hilt of Dream Hunter that's just speared into the black marble quiver, vibrate, and then like shoot out of the ground, and it just soars a full 80 feet back straight through the air and lands itself inside the Emperor's hand. And she holds on to Dream Hunter.
At the same moment, it's just like all in, baby. Oka is going to use their culling edge, and instead of it like coming like out of their arm, kind of in the side, it almost like the tattoo like wobbles and then jumps out of their arm, like completed, like a full sword, and Oka like grabs it out of the air. And it's sort of like Dream Hunter. It's like the same shape, but it's made of their blood, and it's like red and kind of like crackling with lightning. You know what I mean? And I'll roll my damage for that.
Okay. This sounds like we're gonna be joining in battle, so why don't everyone in this chamber roll initiative? Okay. Do we have 20 to 30 for initiative?
22.
Okay, 22 for Oka. Any other 20 to 30?
21.
Okay, 21 for Manaya. Any other 20 to 30? Oh, wow. Y'all did really well. Okay, so 22 for Oka, 21 for Manaya, 20 for Dewey. V?
10.
Okay.
Did not
All right.
roll as well.
So, at the top of the order, starting with Oka and going down, I need you all, this is a special lair action, I need you all to tell me, truthfully, what is your PC going to be doing on their turn?
Attacking ferociously.
Okay, Oka's gonna be attacking ferociously. What about Manaya? Assume, like, the landscape of the battle doesn't change.
Okay, Connie. Manaya's going to turn to V. Revan Dewey and ask what the heck is going on and what should we do.
Are you gonna basically, like, hold your turn? Or are you gonna ask first and then do something later?
I'll hold my turn.
Okay, cool. So Manaya's going to, like, wait a beat and suss out the situation first before acting. Got it. What about you, Dewey?
I want to see if the guards are going to try and get involved. I want to distract them.
Okay, Dewey wants to distract the guards. What about V?
V's gonna do something similar, probably light some fire to separate all the guards from. V's gonna be like, V recognizes the whole like her relationship to Sievert, and like this is that moment. So V's just like, let Oka have the moment and try to fend off anybody else trying to get involved.
Love it. And how is Dewey gonna try to distract the guards? Like, what's your play?
I got a cool spell. That it creates like a thing for them to, like if they have to stare at it if they fail a save.
Oh, is it a hypnotic pattern? What is the
Yeah.
spell? Okay, cool. Hypnotic pattern. Okay, got it. So, on initiative count 29, the Emperor is gonna go. They look down. They look down these steps at all of you, right? Like holding Dream Hunter. And they're just gonna turn Dream Hunter to their palm and wet the blade of Dream Hunter with their blood. Like all the way down with their hand. And you see like the 8 runes up the side of Dream Hunter glow. Ding, 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 ding. And they're gonna shoot out this pulse of something. And I need all of you to make a charisma saving throw.
This is the third natural 19 I've rolled this session, by the way. Can't just keep winning.
23.
23 for V. What's the total for Oka?
Also a 23.
Okay, cool. Do we?
Do we do?
I got 6.
No! Dewey got a 6. Okay.
You made me make a charisma save, so.
Manaya.
Manaya's earring glows as I get a 17.
Okay, nice. Oh yeah, from your parents. I like that. So V and Oka you save. Dewey and Manaya, unfortunately, you do not. With a 6 and a 17. So what this means is like this blinding flash of light just sweeps out from the Emperor's sword. And Oka and V, the two of you are able to weather it to the best of your ability. But Dewey and Manaya, the two of you feel the weave inside of you just sort of tangle up and choke and seize. Manaya, whatever tenuous connection you had with the Princess of Leaves is now not severed, but it's like someone's grabbing a bundle of strings and like holding them really tight, basically like staunching the flow of magic from her to you. And Dewey, like whatever connection you have with the artifacts you make with magic is also similarly staunched, as the two of you are essentially under the effects of an anti-magic cone. And you can attempt the save again at the ends of your turn, which means you can't use magic. Next up, the Emperor is going to glide down the steps, almost like their feet are floating off the ground, and they're almost like levitating like maybe an inch off of the earth, as though like the earth were not worthy for them to walk upon. They glide forward, and they're gonna meet you. Meet you closer in the center of this hall, Oka, as you're just thrumming with this like electric energy. They're holding Dream Hunter, and they say to you, their face still unreadable behind that sheer cloth, "You were always a disappointment, Makoya. You should have never come back. The kingdom was better off without you."
Fucking hell. I think the way that Oka, if it's okay, makes that save is they like slice through it with their own blade. They are familiar with Dream Hunter's tenets and what it can do. So I think they were like almost like expecting that, so they like are able to swipe it away, and they're like coming down the hallway in the opposite way. I never wanted to come back, but it's not my fucking prerogative anymore. Here I am.
Here you are, come to die. Born by my hand, brought to life by me, and to death I send you.
I'm not afraid of you. I never have been.
You should be.
And Oka will make their swipe.
Okay, make that attack roll, baby.
I'm gonna use a point of inspiration.
Okay. You have 2, by the way, because of that dono from earlier.
Okay, first attack definitely goes wide, but I do have a second attack.
Okay.
Oh no.
You can still hit. They're just gonna get to respond if you choose to do so.
Okay, first one was, let's see, I'll do my math. The first one was a 15, second one was a natural 1 plus 7. So 8, but a natural 1.
Okay, that's fine. Neither will quote unquote hit in the traditional sense, but if you want, both can hit and you can deal damage. I'll just have them make a pretty big reaction if you choose to do so.
That's fine, I think. So should I roll damage?
Go for it.
I'll also use a bonus action to just get my my rite of flame going here.
Sounds good. So the black, bloody edge of your blade poof, erupts into magical fire as you attack your mother-father. Roll damage, baby. I love watching C do math, because they count on their fingers, and I think it's really cute.
Okay, that is 25 points of damage for the first hit. And
I don't like how long
30,
it counts.
sorry, I do math really slow. 33 points of damage for the second one.
Phew! Okay. I think what this looks like is the two of you spar. You duel. right? It's the silver edge of Dream Hunter clashing against the black flaming edge of your bloodied longsword, right? As the two of you are just exchanging blow after blow after blow, parrying and dodging and weaving and attacking, the Emperor's robe swirling around them while your own like blood-spattered clothes are also whipping in the wind. So how do you deal 25 plus 33 points of damage?
So Oka was literally trained in Sulongan style duel, and they were the best at it when they were here. Like, they were really fucking good at it, and they have only gotten better. And not only have they only gotten better, they also have picked up other things from monster hunting, from their friends, from all the places they've gone, to the point where it's like a little bit more vicious and a little bit less refined or even like respectful. Like, they're just going with this insane amount of raw energy, just like that's getting like put so hard into their blade.
Yeah, where do you score 2 gashes on your mother father's body?
I think just like the edge of the arm, both arm.
Okay, yeah, 1 gash. You see an opening. Surprisingly enough, holy shit! And you score a gash on their left arm. You cut open this beautiful sapphire blue robe, and a little bit of blood comes out even. And then you score red blood. And I think there's a part of you that's like, huh, so you do bleed, right? You do bleed like the rest of us. And then like your other gash hits their other arm. You cut this beautiful, gorgeous robe. You sever the embroidery, and another little burst of blood comes out. Oh, what do you say as you deal these 2 flesh wounds to your mother father?
I always thought you were dead. I never thought you were real. And I can actually use my blonded bloodletting feature whenever I deal damage. I will use my reaction to cause an effect. And the effect that I will cause, I think, let me see really fast. I need to look that up. I believe is going to be probably extra damage. Probably. Where is my bonded bloodletting? Where are you? My God. I can't find it. I believe it's just an extra d6 of damage, so I'll just roll that real quick. Just an extra 3. As Oka's connection with the weave kind of like connects with the blood that they drew, and they like pull it out more, like just like with their offhand.
Blood magic. Your mother father says as like some of their blood like dribbles out of like this wound and is like soars toward you as you're like basically like pulling your hand back. That's not one of the 3 sacred arts of the court you were taught.
No, it's not. I learned that myself.
I'm sorry to say, this is where your education ends. You've gotten stronger, I'll give you that. But now, you shall perish. And your mother-father, with their reaction, is going to sort of turn around and poof, there's almost like this, like their robes just swirl, and I think you're taken off guard by this like unconventional maneuver. And when they whip back around, Dream Hunter, the last thing you see, Oka, is Dream Hunter just glimmering through the air. And on that word, perish, you see every single of the 8 runes on Dream Hunter glow bright black. As your mother-father casts power word kill. What is your max HP?
My max HP with or without my fuck that I have currently, or just like generally?
Currently, it doesn't count because Vinash took a lot away.
Yeah, 71 currently.
That is not sufficient. You die. Your mother-father slashes Dream Hunter through you, and similar to Rev's scythe, passing through the bodies of the souls she reaps, Dream Hunter just passes through you. But as it cuts through the center of your body, it attempts to sever your soul and destroy it. And while this is happening almost like in bullet time, you're like eyes blown wide, or you see Dream Hunter flashing, like your mother-father's face, a sliver of it exposed as like the wind ripples this cloth sheet, and you see just like half of her face exposed. And as you do, you see that she's got 3 pupils in the eye that is like revealed, and on her throat, a sideways eye has opened. almost exactly like on Juan Ustoy's like vision that you saw in the Dream Shield. And I think you die as Dream Hunter passes through the entire rest of your body. And it's like, again, in like bullet time slow motion V, you hear Rev start to shout out loud, "No!" As she like starts to like run forward, as the, you know, Paragon of the Raven Queen, who cannot allow such things to happen. And then, Oka, as you stagger there, your vision starting to darken on the edges of your eyes, the life draining from your body. You feel Vinash inside you crackle, and boom! And all of you just see like this massive like explosion of red lightning ricochet off of like Oka's body. Like it's I think the three of you are thrown into this horrible flashback of like Ravi's body suspended in that giant chamber, like shooting these huge pillars of lightning bolts out from her skin. But now it's Oka, and Oka, you were hunched over, right? But now like you like reverse as your chest like heaves up toward the sky, your like neck is thrown back, and we like close up on your face. Your eyes are blown wide, and through one of your eyes, like a red lightning bolt cuts through the pupil and bisects it. Similar to the dash through your name, Oka. It just like cuts through that pupil, through that iris. As Vinash saves you. And instead of dying immediately, Oka, you're just gonna drop down to 1 HP.
I need to like take a bath or something. I'm so sweaty.
All of you hear Vinash's voice boom out from Oka's body, as the Emperor's still like in the middle of finishing her motion of cutting through Oka's body. That's how fast Vinash reacted. And Vinash just says in this sort of like distorted, raging, crackling voice, "Mong! This is not your death!" And the Emperor the Emperor holds her pose with like this sword drawn. She looks up, like again that like veil fluttering. And when she speaks, it's almost like her voice is double layered, and you all hear like a second, like different, like more masculine voice, like humming underneath like the Emperor's own words. "Ah, Vinash. But that is not your Paragon, is it? So why should you care what happens to it? It has a name!" And Vinash, puppeting Oka's body, is going to like lift up this sword you have, this like blood sword, and transform it into a bolt of lightning, and throw it at your mother father. And there's just like this huge explosion of light as it collides. And I think that's it's gonna hit. And your mother father, I think, is blown back. Like her body, like this bolt of lightning just like throws her all the way back to like the foot of the stairs, right? She still holds on to Dream Hunter, but she collides against the foot of the stairs and staggers a little bit, and her like robes are singeing, and like the smell of like burning flesh and like burning hair starts suffusing this hall. She looks back up, and you all see that that bolt of red lightning had charred the veil like completely away. And all of you see now the Emperor's face, which is just, it looks like it's chiseled from the same black marble that this hall is built from, right? It's super serene, right? Like it was plucked from like a book and then put into reality. Chiseled jawline, these high regal cheekbones, these eyes, one of which has a single pupil in one, and the other of which has 3 pupils. You also see again that all of you see that sideways eyeball, like cracked open on her throat. She's got this like black hair that's like done up in this elaborate hairdo, and she looks up. Now we're gonna go to Manaya's turn.
Okay, so round 1 of combat. Let me just die real quick.
I like when Connie asked us, what do you plan to do? Because 2 moves changed everything.
I like that Lyra's like, what the fuck is Manaya gonna do?
Manaya yells. First, it's a no that I can't recreate, unfortunately. And then it's, after she's 30 feet forward, calling back to Rev, V, and Dewey. And you almost can't hear it because there's so much going on. But as the Emperor brandishes, and what are the Emperor's pronouns?
They, she.
They, she. As the Emperor brandished their black blade, and Manaya sensed the death magic that was happening, the head of her axe hits the ground, and she's going. You said, how far away is Oka?
40 feet maybe?
Okay. Do I need to use a dash action to get there?
Nah, it's fine.
Okay. Manaya's there. And I think first she throws her axe, right? Straight at the Emperor. And I think that's happening right as the Emperor is blown back by Vanash. And so the axe flies the opposite, like past where the Emperor was, and Manaya flies back from Vanash. So I'll just like, that attack misses. And then she's gonna action surge. I think the sweat and the shaking of her big eyes and her pupils dilate even more than they were, taking in all the information they can, as she runs forward again at the Emperor now on the stair. Oh, well, no. She runs forward and towards the Emperor, but then her eyes flick over to Oka. She blinks, and everything about her demeanor changes as she skids to a halt, almost to a halt, and then slowly walks up to Oka, who's, I'm assuming, floating in the air at this point.
No, Oka's still on the
No?
ground. It's just no, Oka has not floated yet,
Okay,
maybe.
okay.
But it's like huge, like whips of lightning are strobing off their body, like you're in the middle of like a plasma ball.
Manaya is going to do the best she can to push through everything and walk up to Oka and try to put her hand on their shoulder.
Okay, I'm gonna
To
have
sort
you
of
take a
share
little.
in this power,
I love that.
so it doesn't
I'm go-
consume them.
You're gonna take a
Sorry.
little bit of damage from
That's okay.
walking toward the sunburst. That's just gonna be, you can take it. You have the tough feet. That's just gonna be an easy breezy 23 points of lightning damage. As you approach this like huge lightning ball that is now that was formerly Oka, and you like fight through it, like your hair just sort of like whipping around your face, right? Like your armor like crackling with this power, and you place a hand on Oka's shoulder. Are you trying to like, do you say anything or do anything to Oka as you approach?
No. I'm attempting to recreate almost the scene of Oka saving Rev. And I think all she can muster now is a hand on their shoulder. But she's moving to... she's motioning behind her at Dewey, V, and Rev to grab her hand. Because Manaya can't take this god any better than Oka could.
So Oka, as Manaya does this, I think your experience of the situation is a little different. So when Vanash comes over and takes control, it's like you're like pulled back, and you can like vaguely sense what's happening around you, but really slowly and very really like almost like it's like through like a layer of plexiglass, and you're like in the middle of like this like heavily insulated, almost soundproof room, and everything feels real slow and sluggish and real hot. But then you feel something on your shoulder, like a pressure, a familiar warm pressure, and I think that starts to pull you back up into control. What do you do?
Who is and I think like Vinashuka, like their head kind of like wobbles almost, like it's kind of like a weird puppetism to like look, and there's this like red dash through one of Oka's eyes that doesn't seem to focus well on Manaya, but the other one kind of does, and it like almost like clarifies and sees her.
And Manaya says, "They can't take much more. Please, allow me to channel some of your rage."
They're mine! Not yours! Not hers! Not Sen's! They are mine!
Uh-oh! Uh-oh! I'm in danger! Uh-oh!
Jealous
Manaya-
god.
Manaya blinks, and the fear is back again. Her pupils dilate, and her eyes are shaking, her eyes wide, as she whips her head back to the two other Paragons and Dewey, and reaches her hand out. As she shakes her head, she can't do this.
I really liked that. So now, speaking of Dewey and V, Dewey, it's your turn next, buddy.
I think when Dewey saw Oka get cut down, he instinctively he was going to assume a defensive sort of like let Oka handle this, but then he saw them get cut down, and he's just like half running, half flying, desperately trying to make his way over as they fall, and so you see like a flutter of wings and like the ridiculous. I think in order to get the height, he had like books strapped to his feet, and those are just like coming loose everywhere. And he goes up to Oka as well. And I think puts his hand over where the gash is forming. In an attempt to like do his healing thing, which he usually does, but since he doesn't have magic, it's just like a hand on their chest. And he he didn't hear Vinash say no to him, so yeah, so he's sort of got like he's facing Oka on the ground, and his back is sort of turned to the Emperor.
So you're, do you say anything to Vinoka? Or are you just like putting your feathered hand on their chest and hoping it takes?
I'm putting my feathered hand on their chest, sort of like not knowing the gravity of what he's doing. Sort of like in an attempt to just like staunch the bleeding. And that's all that's on his mind right now. The fact that he's made this connection with Vinash Oka's body is beyond him at the moment.
You are also going to take some damage as you approach. Don't worry, it's an easy, breezy, beautiful 25 points of lightning damage. As like your feather is getting charred off as you approach. Like every step forward feels like agony. Like you're wading willingly into like a bed of like 1,000 needles. Like the static energy ricocheting off of the air, making it heavy, making it metallic like blood. And you place one hand, shaking, trembling, on Oka's blood-wetted chest. And you see, like, Vinosha's eyes, which were, like, fixed on Manaya, suddenly turn and affix onto you. And that same guttural, thrumming, static-filled voice ricochets out of Oka's mouth again, and it says, "This child is not yours, vessel of the Dragon Maker. Leave it be."
And I think there's like a little, if it's okay, like a little bubble of Oka's voice, almost. Like a, wait, that's a horrible noise. Wait, it's like that vine, like, anyway, what I meant was, no. But then it's back down again.
I think Dewey like withdraws his hand like it's hot, like he's been burned.
And I think as you pull your hand back, you realize it has been burned, right? Like your feathers are charred and it's really hot and like you touched like this like burning stove, right? And now we're gonna go to V. Yes, Manaya.
If I may have one quick word with Dewey?
Oh, sure.
Could we
Yeah,
just, like,
you're.
could we just go to the other room? You know?
Yeah, you got to. Yeah. Well, when Dewey comes up and like has this exchange with Vinash, what do you do, Manaya?
Manaya, not as quick as Vinashka did, but quickly turns to Dewey and says, hoping he gets the reference to the cave, says, "You made it this time. We can save them." With tears streaming down her face, but they don't make it barely half an inch before they're evaporated.
Yeah, love that touch. Nice. And now it's V's turn.
I think the camera's gonna pan to V, and her purple eye is glowing purple, and her green eye is. I think Scott and Nectis are real not happy right now, and V just already has Gamble. Like Gamble was just the deck is in her hands, and she's shuffling and she's walking slowly towards the Emperor, and you hear Scott's voice coming out of V. This is such a mistake right now. And then you hear Nectis, you should not be attacking this one. This is not helping us in any way. Back down now. And then I think the body of E pulls out a card. I've done all the mechanics of this, so I didn't have to spend forever looking up, and pulls out the tower, which I feel is apt. And I think Skodnektovi.
Isn't that a place in New York?
Yeah, isn't that like upstate or something? So you hear Nectis's voice, back down now, or else.
And the Emperor sort of like slumped against the stairs, like pulls herself back up, almost like something within her is like filling her with strength. She goes back to floating like an inch like above the ground and looks right at you. And you see that the one single pupiled eye is black, I think. Silver, thank you. I was just like, with the one single pupiled eye is silver. She looks at you and says, in what you assume is Mungshan Drudi's voice, "The two of you were always the last to act, weren't you? Circling around a battlefield like vultures. The last to join in the creation of our first children. The last to create the dragons. Well, perhaps you will be the last to act today as well. What will it be, Skad and Nectis?"
Well, it sounds like you're. This will be more in Scott's voice. It sounds like you're not ready to give up this little fight. And so, chooses disintegrate and throws it at the Emperor.
Okay, how does disintegrate work?
You make a dex save on my 15.
Okay.
Hold on, I gotta pull this back up again. I have to do so much research every time I pull a card. On a failed save, the target takes 10d6 plus 40 force damage, and if you're reduced to 0 hit points in that, you are reduced to a pile of gray ash.
Do they take half damage if they succeed, or do they take no damage?
Let's see. No, fail save. Why it doesn't say?
Then it's a save or suck.
Yeah.
Okay. So she fails. So why don't you go ahead and roll damage, my friend?
You know how many extra dice I had to pull out for this? I'm also going to use my sorcery point to do the empowered spell where I can re-roll in this a couple of up to my charisma modifier, so 3 dice, and I have to take the new score because I had a couple ones in there. Okay, so let me now we get to watch Erica do math. All right, friends, we have 6 dice that are at 6, so that's 36 plus 5 is 41, 44, 46, 49.
So you look
Plus
so
the-
scared.
plus the 40 force damage,
Disintegrate my dad.
86.
86 points of damage? Okay. What does it look like?
The card, as it is flying towards the Emperor, turns, it starts to glow, and it's green, and then it morphs into purple, and it's like going faster and faster and faster until it hits into the Emperor, and just this bright light flash. It's almost like fireball, but the bubble around it isn't harmful to anyone else. And that's like a fun little light show of bright green and purple. And then for a moment, just like in a firework, you just see Scott and Nectus's images for a little bit as they like disintegrate away.
Okay. So as that image like balloons upward, right, and this huge flash of almost like nuclear-like light fills this blackened chamber, Oka, you get a moment of lucidity as you see what, I mean, by all intents and purposes, looks like V killing your mother-father in that moment. Like, you see this like huge orb of light surround her, right? There's like this moment suspended in time as the figures of Scott and Nectus bloom within the nexus of the spell. And then it's almost like time reverses. As Scott and Nectus fold back into the disintegration bubble, the bubble like unwraps itself around the Emperor's form. The bolt of like purple and red magic and green magic like shoots back toward V, reforms the card, and the card like whips back between V's fingers as the Emperor uses their legendary resistance to re-roll that save and saves against it, is how I'm flavoring that. And I think the Emperor's gonna say to you as like the robes ripple back down pristinely as like almost like these scales of like azure gems like patch up, right? Like the rips in their armor and their like cloth, right? And like almost like stitches up the wounds that like Oka had dealt. And Monk Shenjurdi's voice rings out from the Emperor's throat. Looks like today just wasn't your lucky day. The two of you may be the gods of risk and reward, but you forget my domain is knowledge. Everything that will happen, I know. We have fought this battle 1,000 times already, and the end result will always be the same. As we go back to the top of the order, which is, of course, the Emperor.
Rev?
Oh, right, Rev! Thank you for
And the
reminding
soldiers?
me.
And everyone else?
Yeah. Okay, just give me a sec. We go back to the top of the order-ish. We see Rev run out from the shadows, I think. Actually, no. This is what happens. As the Emperor says that thing, poof, the shadows behind her swirl. And we see like a vortex of like feathers and like void magic as Rev teleports behind her, wielding Grim, this massive scythe. And wordlessly, like Rev's face is like blazing with this like single like determination, like whips Grim down like at the Emperor. And the Emperor just sort of turns at the last moment and raises Dream Hunter and catches the scythe, right? And there's like this ding, like this ringing of like metal against metal that just explodes from the point of contact as like the Emperor holds it. And both of you see like both of these like women, non-binary lesbian women, are like straining against their weapons, right? As the Emperor with like one hand is like holding the sword and then has to use her other hand to stabilize the hilt, while Rev's like huge muscles are like bulging, right? She's like trying to cut the Emperor down. And the Emperor / Monk Judy says up to Rev / the Raven Queen. Deathbringer, it is good to see you here in my court, though you, more than all of us, I think, are a long way from home. Mung, this is not the way. Lay down your sword and talk. If you say so, darling. And the Emperor is going to sink into the ground. And from like the loss of like kinetic energy, Rev's gonna stumble forward a little bit, but she like catches herself, like whirls the scythe around and like stabilizes. And the Emperor's gonna reappear, like appears back out of the ground closer to where the rest of you are. So V, Oka, Manaya, and Dewey, where this lightning is strobing off of your body. The Emperor turns toward the guards, who I think at this point, the guards are just kind of watching. Their weapons are drawn. Oka, your chains have long since been shattered in the course of this fight. They're just in pieces floating around the air, suspended by this plasmic lightning swirling around you. The Emperor addresses these guards who are bravely holding their weapons, pointing it at the site of battle. Leave us. I will attend to the rest personally. And like loyal, well-trained, disciplined beetles, or ants, the guards just lower their weapons, like in sync. They nod, they bow, and they turn and they leave. So it's just Halo who remains. Her retinue leaves her, but Halo's standing there behind all of this. And all of you see now, she's got these like prayer beads made of like knuckle bones strung together that she's like ringing between her fingers. And this entire time, like her hair is sort of like fanning out with static electricity and swirling around her. She has like some like singe and scorch marks and like some gash marks from like explosion of like fighting that's like modeling her like otherwise very soft and pink body. Otherwise looks unharmed. She's like muttering this like long prayer in two and like rubbing the prayer bones together. And the Emperor turns now. And all of you get the sense that she no longer wants to fight. Still holding Dream Hunter aloft, she points it at Vinash inside of Oka. Let them go. No. No! This one is mine! No, you can't have them! Yes, Oka?
Could I try to fight that? Like with a roll? With
Yes,
the
you can.
auto-crit specifically?
Yes, you can. You're gonna use the autocrit right now?
Yep, I'm gonna use the auto-crit right now.
Okay. Autocrit is off the table. Tell me what happens.
Oka's voice surges up underneath Vinash's. No! I said no! I don't belong to you! I don't belong to you! And they are like, that's to the Emperor. I don't belong to anyone! And like the lightning starts to get like pulled back into their body. I belong to me. You made me. I made myself. I made myself. You don't get to have me now. And then they kind of stagger because they're like, okay, I'm almost dead. And they pause there. And the like bottom of their sword kind of like tips, and they like catch themselves on it. And like, Manaya, and probably also like almost they fall onto Dewey, but they like kind of catch themselves and they look up as like I think the red I'm sorry, did you see me punch myself in the glasses? Not used to that. As the red bolt of lightning kind of remains like stuck in their eye, but they shove Vinaj back down into their soul. I keep you. You don't keep me.
Vinash goes down, kicking and screaming at the weave that suffuses your soul, but you're able, with that nat 20, you're able to shove them back down into your soul, right? You're basically rebottling lightning that has shattered the vessel. And the last of the plasma streaks away, settles down, and you're left just covered in in blood from Halo's room, scorched to all hell and back, holding this bloodied longsword that has transformed back into your bonded weapon after Vinash had hurled the lightning bolt. And Vinash's final word only you can hear, Oka. A river of fate. And it sort of just dies back down. And as the battle, I think, starts to ebb down, right? There's a moment of whew, that's a lot, settling over this black marbled hall with its huge sapphire pillars. The Emperor was still holding Dream Hunter, pointing it at you, Oka. And then speaks. Well said. You always had a lip, didn't you? Always such a troublesome little brat. And it's hard to tell if it's Mengxian Zhudi talking or if it's the Emperor. And then Dream Hunter lowers and the Emperor raises their other hand. The sheath, which had clattered to the ground, flies into their left hand, and she sheaths it. And attaches it to this belt, this garter around her waist that cinches her robe closed. Well done, the 5 of you. You're stronger than I anticipated.
Oka just coughs up a little bit of lightning and blood.
Go ahead.
Oh, I think with that, as all the gods are going away, I think also Scott and Nectis sort of V's eyes return to their non-glowing state, and they don't speak to V, but there's a very feeling of thankfulness and gratitude towards V as they just you can almost feel them wrapping up around each other as they just go back down deep somewhere.
I really like that. Yeah. The Emperor now, there's a swirl of feathers and darkness as Rev disappears by the throne and reappears in your lineup. So it's basically now the 5 of you with Halo toward the back, facing the Emperor, who stood there silhouetted by the glowing silver of their throne 40 feet behind them. And the Emperor, their robes now unblemished like they were before. She must have cast some sort of healing spell that reversed whatever damage had been done to her. Looks down at all of you and says, "So, this is it, isn't it? 6 paragons in the same room? What would you call that other than fate? Child." And she turns to you, Oka. "I have upheld my end of the divine bargain. I have killed you for returning. And now, your bounty is clean."
What? What? No. And they're kind of trying to pick their sword back up. No, I'm not done here.
This fight is over.
And I think they want to take a swipe, but it's the most pathetic thing. And I think they almost they just kind of they hit Dewey with it, but it doesn't even slice him because it's just so weak. Because he's technically in front of them still. So what? Now I leave again?
No. There is a reason the waters of fate have carried the 5 of you here. Can't you feel it? Thrumming in the weave all around you. This meeting was meant to be. And Halo from behind all of you says, Your Imperial Majesty, it's time. Yes, thank you, Dream Prophet.
She's a name.
And she is also a role, something you would do well to remember, child. And the Emperor is going to look at you, Oka, you, Manaya, you, Dewey, you, V, finally, Rev. She's going to address the 5 of you at once and say, very calmly, actually, as though she were discussing the weather, I will be assassinated. And we're going to cut to break on that note. We'll be back in 10. It's around 30 past, so we'll be back by 40 past or so to parley, to talk and roleplay with the Emperor a little bit. I hope you all enjoyed that first half. We love y'all so much. Enjoy the fan art reel, which I have to update, I promise. It will happen soon. We'll be back in 10. Love you so much. Speesh. Hello, everybody. It is so good to see all of your digital non-existent faces in the chat. Welcome back to the second part of Arc 4, Episode 4 of Flame Season for God of Transplanar RPG. Before we hop back in, just a reminder of content warnings for this episode and for our campaign in general. Our show is set in a grimdark, gritty fantasy world that deals with difficult subjects that are potentially triggering to some viewers. So some content warnings for our campaign in this episode may include nightmares, daddy issues, death, fantasy violence, horror, gore, toxic and abusive relationships, guns, natural disasters, alcohol and substance use, addiction, memory loss, emotional trauma and baggage, self-destructive behavior, bloodletting, cults and cult-like behavior, and anxiety and panic attacks described in detail. So with that out of the way, let's hop right back into the session. The Emperor looks at the 5 of you. The 5 of you Paragons, lined up, singed, bruised, bloodied from battle, while she herself stands, or rather floats, an inch off the black marble floor, tall, serene, regal, resplendent in her sapphire-deep robes, rolling off of her shoulders, almost like clouds. And, again, in a very casual tone of voice, says, I will be assassinated. 3 weeks ago, Mengshen Zhidi showed me a vision of my own demise. I am admiring the first snow of the year when a blade pierces my back. My god is shunted out of my body, and I am killed.
That's not possible. How could that be possible?
Nothing is impossible, child, as long as it is not written in the river of time.
And Oka kind of whips around to where Halo is standing to like get her confirmation.
Halo's now that everything's calmed down, you all see that Halo's cheeks have dried tears on them. She was crying while this battle was happening, but none of you saw her cry. And now that it's over, she's wiped the tears from her face and has composed herself again. And she exchanges a look with the Emperor, who just nods at her. And Halo raises a snow-white finger tinged with pink, and she swipes her hand gracefully across the air in front of her and conjures a little sparkly illusion of a silvery river that sort of just gurgles, almost like a silver dragon. It snakes around the entire hall and becomes this sort of like 3D illusion of just like this flowing river with like little like moats suspended within like the current, right? And as Halo like conjures this image, she says, in dream prophecy, fate, which is also time, is often represented as a river. For most of its life, the river flows in one direction, and the sequence of events, and at this, the little motes of light, each ping, ping, like ping up, rushing along its current, cannot be altered. But sometimes the water branches. And you see sort of like at the end of the river that she's still drawing out. Sure enough, it branches off into two directions. And as they both branch off, they sort of like taper off into nothingness. And this like dense white fog settles over the future of both of these branches. In dream prophecy, such a branch is what we call a divergence. A divergence is a point in time where the future is unknown, because what will occur in reality hinges on an important choice, or more commonly, a series of important choices. The Emperor's fate is in divergence. Meng Shen Zhidi has shown her Imperial Majesty a possible future in the waters of time, but it is not the only future. That is why we need your help. I foresaw your arrival. 5 cranes, each a different color, soaring toward the slumbering palace. One of them was bleeding. And at this, her pink eyes linger on you, Oka. But still, they came. They would serve as noble guides to the Emperor, assistants and soldiers in the war that is yet to come.
At this, Manaya's axe flies back to her left hand from across the room, maybe where it was stuck in the wall, as they hoist Oka up with her right arm. And she lets it fall to the ground, hammer side down. That clang happens again. And she says, "So what? Was supposed to help you after you tried to kill my friend?"
I was only doing what duty demands. Makoya understands this.
Think,
Oka doesn't say anything for. Oh, go ahead.
V looks at all this river of fate, and she's thinking about everything her mother ever told her, and I I think V says something along the lines of, well, maybe this fate business is actually true, but if we need and I think V's mostly like saying this to herself. She's not like saying this yet to everybody else, but if we form plan, I mean, I do like making plans and talk about making important choices. This sounds pretty important, but V's brain is like already working on the problem of how do we maybe keep the Emperor alive.
You forget, Manaya. This is not your area of expertise. They know what they're talking about. And they say it with a little bit of like harumph.
What about you, Dewey? You've been rather quiet during this entire ordeal.
I think Dewey faces the Emperor and says, like, so to what extent does your dream extend?
The first snowfall of winter. Raven 1. That is the same day as my wedding. I cannot act against this assassin. Believe me, if I could, I would have already. At least, I can't act against them openly. If I had to make an educated guess, I would say that their agents are already in the palace, watching, waiting, biding their time. My killer, whoever they are, is methodical and precise. They have studied me well. They know of my strengths, which is also my only weakness. Dream prophecy. They know I have the ability to see into time and that the best dream prophet in Andake's history serves me. They know that I would be able to see the moment of my own death at their hands. But I cannot act on this knowledge. If I do anything that even implies I know an attack is coming, then this assassin will become dangerous. They will take hostages. They will target innocents. They will endanger and kill civilians to get to me. As long as I am ignorant or act ignorant, then they will bide their time until the day I die.
And Uka's eyes kind of linger on Halo because it is obvious to them that the first person to go would be her. And they kind of woozily turn back. So who knows? Who's the assassin?
I do not know. It is rare for information like that to be shielded from me. This assassin, whoever they are, has access to magics that are beyond even my knowledge, my reach. Their identity is hidden. I have attempted divination, I have attempted scrying, prophecy. No name, no face, no identifiable features are available to me.
Manaya's
All that-
hand.
Let me just finish this one sentence and then we can do Manaya and then Oka. All that I see is a swirling void of emptiness. Go ahead, Manaya.
Manaya's hand squeezes Oka's arm. She doesn't meet anyone's eyes, and in fact her eyes linger on her axe. And her eyes quiver as she says, So they're a stranger then.
At this, the Emperor raises her regal chin and like looks down, sort of like the length of the bridge of her nose, like at you, Manaya. Though rest assured, you tower above her, as the tallest person in this room. What do you know of the stranger? Surely you've seen them in your nightmares as well. Every single night, a blood-caked battlefield, wings and eyes bleeding monstrous forms onto the earth.
Manaya closes her eyes and looks away.
I think when this discussion of a really powerful magical being, I think V looks over to Rev and kind of gives a glance, possibly thinking about the person that she's searching for.
Rev speaks up. Is it possible that this assassin is an emissary of sorts? I don't think so. If they are, their magic would at least be known to me. Whatever power they wield is not of Andake. I see.
Oka, I think, was also kind of looking down, and then they like notice, I think, just like the glint of Dewey's watch, and they like whew, are like almost like back in green open water at the boat, and like the same like feeling of like Manaya's shoulder on their arm, like the glint of like Dewey's watch, the URL, the stranger in the room of the URL. They blink. Why? What would killing you accomplish here? Why would anyone want that? Anyone this powerful?
A thoughtful pause. Then the Emperor says, to weaken Andake. I imagine whoever is wanting to kill me and whoever has power enough to accomplish that deed are in league with the monsters that threaten our world. They are almost definitely related to the Vanishing. They are almost certainly related to the Stranger.
I will never forgive you. I will never forgive you for turning me out when you could have showed me mercy. I did what I did to save your children. I will never regret that. I will regret all the time I spent on my own. But I know that despite the way that this world has hurt me, it is my world and I will fucking fight for it. And you can't die. That's not an option. And they kind of like throw their arm down through one of the branch, like through the illusion of one of the branches, you know? And their arm kind of like cuts through it to like divert the path like one way. It's not an option.
Yeah, the Emperor looks back at you. Would you like to roll insight? Also, like, any of you can like ask to roll insight anytime if you want.
I'll use an inspiration, my last one. Since I'm no longer fucking fighting for my life. Ugh, whatever. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12.
Yeah, especially as you say that thing about never forgiving her for having the power to spare you and choosing not to. You see that like the Emperor just sort of like raises her chin a little bit more and like looks at you, like her eyes, her three pupiled in one, three pupiled in one and one pupiled in the other, just like boring right into your soul. And she responds, "And child, I will always forgive you for not having the capacity to understand why I made the choice I did."
And at that, Oka's lip kind of like curls, like they're about to like start fighting again, you know?
And at that, Manaya's grip tightens just a little.
And they are held firmly back by Manaya's single huge hand.
I cannot investigate my own murder without drawing attention to myself. Every move I make in the slumbering palace is watched. The only place I have true privacy is this. And she gestures at this throne room. And so, I turn to the 5 of you. I needed to test you first, to see if you were strong enough worthy enough to wield your roles as paragons. You have passed my test for now. Your second test, not to me, but to see if you are worthy for Andake, is to help me. If you find and kill whoever is behind my assassination, then not only will you spare another paragon, but I will play nice. The dream shield protects Chulong, and a memory of my predecessor patrols it, keeping the mist safe. But I know that as much as the dream shield insulates my kingdom from danger, it also prevents my people from intervening in this battle that is to come. Right now, my priority is my people. I cannot risk opening the borders of Chulong at this time while an assassin stalks the halls of the slumbering palace. But if that assassin were taken care of, then I will consider lending the 5 of you an open hand. Do we have an understanding?
My only understanding is that your word will never match that of these people. They've always been worthy. It's you who should be proving yourself to us, not the other way around.
Then tell me, child, why is the wrong god shard inside your soul? And why do 3 of you not have your proper echoes inside you, if you are truly worthy?
We
Because sometimes destiny isn't as kind to us as it has been to you.
V coughs up a little bit. Scour the underbelly of this great empire you've created and find some people who are up to no good. That's certainly in my wheelhouse. I don't know about any of you. We do have Monster Hunter here. We've got really intelligent birdmen. We've got all the strength in the world here in Manaya. I don't see why this should be a problem. And then mutters under her breath, God, I hate this destiny bullcrap.
Rev pats you on the shoulder at that, and strokes your back a little.
So that's it then. We find your assassin. Take them out before they can take you out. And we'll have another friend in a high place.
Quick out of character, I don't know if y'all can hear it. There's like a ginormously loud vehicle idling outside our house right now that feels like I'm in fucking Coachella. But as long as it's not super disruptive audio-wise, I'll go on.
I don't hear it.
Okay, good. I think C's mic will definitely pick it up, but the Shure might be too high quality for that. Okay. I suspect that one of my spouses is colluding with the assassin. Start there. There is no other way for an outside agent to breach the palace's defenses, as all of you have found out today. And they gesture at the fact that all of you, even though you broke in, you were still brought to the throne room in one way, shape, or form. Unfortunately, it is not so simple as interrogating each of my spouses directly. You must act discreetly. No one in the palace, including them, can know that there are assassination attempts afoot, or else our entire plan unravels.
So, what's our cover? Why are you keeping us around?
Impress me. You tell me.
I have a wild idea. Surely, what if we were creating some type of book on a biography, perhaps, of the empire, of the emperor herself, and we had to collect stories from all around you, and perhaps this gives us a moment to have little one-on-one conversations, ask some questions. Just an idea. Don't have to go with it. Just spitballing off of top of head.
That doesn't really explain what I'm doing here. Alive.
Fortunately, we have witnesses to your execution. The other soldiers, the captains of the guards, they saw me strike you down. Though you survived, I still struck you down. And by the letter of the law, I executed you, and I carried out my duty.
So what, I get to walk around like nothing ever happened?
I suggest you walk around with some degree of humility and intention in your step, Makoya. But for now, so long as you are here investigating the identity of my would-be assassin, you are free to roam the grounds. Rumor will spread. News will take. Word will seed. I will make sure of it. That the treasonous prince Makoya Hien has met their demise. And by the divinity of Mengchen Zhidi, by the power bestowed in us, in our noble family, the fates intervened and saw fit that you survive the killing blow. You will still live in disgrace. People will still whisper about you. You will forever bear a scar upon your face. But you will be allowed to survive.
With all due respect, Your Highness. Prince.
It's your Imperial Majesty.
Excuse me. With all due respect, Your Imperial Majesty. Prince Makoya Hien died 7 years ago. The one who stands beside us is Oka Hie.
Oka Hien.
At this, Manaya turns surprised.
Oka Hie just died a few minutes ago.
Very well then. Oka. You shall walk around the grounds of the slumbering palace as though you were a shadow, but you will be allowed to walk.
Where is my mother?
At this, another one of those similar expressions as earlier flashes across the Emperor's face when you bring up your mother. Though, with your low-ish insight check, you can't really parse the specifics of the emotion. Your mother is where she always was. In your courtyard. Home. As are your sisters.
And Oka kind of lets go of the blood blade and it just kind of like sloshes to the ground into a puddle of blood. Horrible, I know. And they kind of like lean back out of Manaya's hand. They take a few steps like backward, and then they turn. And as they turn, I think they like kind of like are like just again like stuck looking at Halo for like a long moment. And then they kind of pull their eyes back down and they head toward the door.
Manaya slings her axe over her shoulder, has a long, pregnant gaze at the Emperor, glances at Halo, and follows suit.
V kind of sheepishly walks just like a step closer to the Emperor and excuse me, but there was a reward, and technically, you know, this river of fate brought us here together. One could argue that I helped bring.
Dewey
Oh.
pulls V's arm to follow the others.
We'll discuss this later.
Yeah, the Emperor doesn't say anything, just sort of raises like a perfectly put together eyebrow. And Rev also gives like one final smoldering look at the Emperor before like turning her raven dappled cape around. Stop giving me those gay eyes. I don't mean smoldering in a gay way, Max. I mean smoldering in like a, oh, I hate you way.
Why do
only
I
one
feel
in a gay
jealous?
way?
Why do I
There's
feel
only
jealous?
one smolder.
And Rev follows suit. Halo, I think, just sighs and follows the rest of you out, I think, with the intention of leading you to whatever quarters you're going to be given now. And you all like leave the throne room behind. You leave the Emperor standing there like full of like shattered, scorched blood everywhere, right? Like parts of the throne room have like clattered onto the ground, smashed in, there's craters everywhere. The Emperor just sort of floats there looking after you until you turn a corner and the figure of her disappears. And now we are left with Halo leading the four of you, Oka, Manaya, Dewey, and of course, V and Rev, through the broad, open halls of this throne building. As she walks, and the rest of you follow, she very primly speaks, addressing you all. There are quarters prepared for all of you already in anticipation of your arrival. Oka, you can stay here with your friends, or, well, your old room remains unused.
I think Oka has been walking ahead of everyone else and pauses. Like they kind of like are stuck still. Like it's like the same feeling of like being stuck every time Halo talks to them. They just like get stuck in it. I'll decide later.
Very well. And Halo turns and keeps walking, and like the kind of way she's addressing you is almost this like brisk professionalism, right? Like it feels like there's a gulf of 7 years between you and so much pain and so much left unsaid, right? As she continues leading you all, she says, "You all have been assigned to some petty noble's courtyard. This is where we keep visiting dignitaries from the other 7 nations, as well as those who are staying at the Slumbering Palace to take the imperial exam. You'll find the families of minor nobles, officiants, exam administrators, courtesans, courtiers, whatnot here. I hope you will find your quarters amenable."
I certainly, this is the life for me. I don't have to pay a dime and I get to live in luxurious suites. I love this. This is wonderful.
Miss Halo, was it?
Yes.
Would there be archives of people who have lived here before?
Well, everything can be found in the Royal Library, which is located, of course, in the southeastern quadrant of the Slumbering Palace.
I'm familiar.
Oh, good. then you shall have no problem navigating our archival system. It can be rather intimidating for outsiders to navigate at first.
Oh, I found it to be rather simple, but things have changed. It's been some time since I've been here. Hopefully your security is a little bit better.
Halo looks over her shoulder just for like half a second, and her like pink eyes fall on UV. And she turns and keeps walking. Like, I feel like V is like bringing it up to be like, are you gonna ask about it? But like Halo doesn't take the bait. And eventually, like at this point, leads you outside of like the throne building and like out into the plaza. Like the big front gates like open for you. Like these guards push it open. And like the sunless light like filters down, maybe even like blink a little bit to adjust to like this new brightness. Because inside the throne room is so dusty and sephiric and dark. Now out here it's bright and early and buzzing. And you see, like, in the distance, like, walking over bridges, like, sitting on stone benches near gurgling streams, just people, officiants, minor nobles, just walking around doing stuff, right? And here, at the top of the flight of stairs, you see, like, the slumbering palace just, like, sprawled out in front of all of you. It's huge, it's massive, it's several miles wide in either direction. There's so much to explore here.
Oka knows where they're going, I think. And they're, again, kind of like single-minded in it. But I think they do pause up here, like at the top of everything, and they look out over all of it. And they keep like blinking their right eye? Which one of their eyes? Whichever one has the red bolt through it, they keep blinking like it hurts. Or like they're trying to like readjust like the focus of their eyes, and they're having a hard time with it. And they're like the whole like the palace kind of like whoosh, like downs as they look at it. And their eyes find the place that they're trying to go to. And like they pause up there for like a long time.
Where do your eyes linger on?
The courtyard I grew up in, obviously.
Okay, yeah. I think Halo sort of like stood by your party, hands clasped in front of her robes, lingers on your gaze and sort of follows it briefly over to the direction you're looking at and says, "Should be lunchtime soon."
Yeah. I guess so.
"Please, follow me." And Halo starts going down these huge stairs, and once you reach like the bottom landing, she turns away from the courtyard that you grew up in, Oka, and starts leading you like toward presumably where you're going to be housed for the next however many weeks. Yes, Manaya?
Nothing.
Okay, I thought you had like a look on your face that was like, I want to say something or do something. Okay. As Halo walks through like various gardens, courtyards, these like beautiful like circular awnings, right? These like huge pagodas and temples. What do the four of you do?
I think Oka was at the front of the party, but as they walk like further and further, they just kind of like are slowing down and sinking back to the point where like whoever is last in line, they just kind of like, they don't even look. They just kind of like brush shoulders with whoever it is. And then they stop walking, like let everyone get a few more steps, and then they turn around, go the opposite direction.
So who is the last person in line?
Well, the way we sort of left the throne room would be Rev was last, followed by Dewey and V. I don't know if we want us to go with that order.
Yeah.
Jimmy's keeping pace, so maybe Rev or V?
Yeah. Oka will kind of like brush past V and like pause, almost like when they were walking in the courtyards in Rosso, and they would just kind of like pause, and then they just turn.
V watches Oka go up or go away, casts message. Do you need a friend?
No.
Continues to look for a little bit further, looks to Rev. Just gives like a sort of like, well, they didn't want anybody, and sort of slowly, turns back towards the group and continues following.
Rev looks after you for a beat, Oka, before turning to let you go. Looks down at V and says, they need time alone. I understand how that feels.
Yeah, I think we all have had those feelings of needing to be alone for a little bit. This journey seems to bring that out of us.
Well, at least they're here and safe.
It's not every day you get to die and come back to life, so let them do what they must.
Was that on purpose? Did you, are you saying that on purpose to me?
No, not at all. Not in the least. There was a really good tavern here. What? Just by the emperor? What? By the court? Where was that tavern? There was a tavern here. I remember a tavern.
Yeah. We'll go out drinking later tonight, V. Let's get settled in first and cook up a more nuanced cover story than biographers. I'm not against it, just to make myself clear. And she's like addressing the rest of the party as well. I just think we should come up with what's it called? Secret identities.
I think that Dewey, as he's been walking and looking around, he's like bumped into a couple of people walking the other way. And as he does, he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Cardew Quirk, Cataclysm historian on assignment from Dabathaji."
You're
What?
Oh my god, I love that. Okay.
Out of
Hard
character.
Or like just like walking like right past, not even.
Out of character. I just gotta say, you're supposed to come up with a new name, dude. You're supposed to come up with a new name.
He's trying to get his cover story down, which doesn't involve a new name, I guess.
Chewy Quirk, really smart pigeon, cannot remember a new name. Okay, fine. That's all.
I suppose Cardew is Cardew Quirk. All right, fine. Dewey, you can do your own thing. We'll think of something else. Won't we, V?
Oh, don't call me V. Call me Veronica Scoop.
Veronica Scoop. Okay.
Sorry, you wanted me to come up with something better than. So, for example, Veronica Scoop.
Hey, I'm just here to be an archival studyist person. This is not my expertise. I just do what you say. You tell me to read books. I read
work
books.
on names. You work on occupation titles that aren't studyist.
But I'm so much better at the names, am I not?
Oh boy. Well, there are a lot of things about you a lot of strengths you wield, Veronica, that I appreciate. Coming up with the names is, I wouldn't put that in your top 3.
I've had to come up with a lot of names in 110 years. Let me tell you, you run out of ideas eventually.
Oh, to be
Especially
fair,
when they all start with V.
It's a motif. It's
A calling card so they can track you down.
V just starts muttering and swearing in Jukai.
Yeah, and I think like that's like how we like leave like the 4 of you like with like Halo lead like Halo's just like shaking her head a little bit this entire time, like doesn't dignify any of this conversation with any sort of verbal response, and she's like leading you all toward like a series of like interconnected courtyards where presumably the 4 of you will be staying, and we're gonna pull out away from the 4 of you and like onto Oka, as you have turned tail. You've left, right? You're heading in the opposite direction. And as you like pass under the shade of a tree, maybe you get the sense that you should turn around. Maybe you get that sense. And I think you do. And I think you just sort of like, in that brief moment, you see Halo in like the distance, walking farther and farther away. And in that moment, she also turns around. Just a little bit, just turns her cheek. And for like half a second, your blue double-pupiled eyes, now with a lightning bolt of red crimson magic sliced through the pupil, locks onto her soft pink eyes. And there's this like moment of like, what if? And then Halo just shakes her head and is the first one to look away.
Ouch. Like my ego needed to get shit on anymore today. Yep, okay. Yeah, that hurts. Oka kind of like tenses their jaw really hard, and then lets it go, and like finds themselves just like playing with their own hands, like as though they had their own knuckle bones. You know, like this old habit from when they were a child. I think like fiddling with the tassel that was on the end of their training sword. Like that's the same motion that they have like in their hands again, and they see it and they kind of let it go. And then they watch her and like the rest of the party, who I think like Rev is like kind of looking angrily down at Dewey, you know, who's like shaking hands with someone, you know, and like V and Manai are like chatting about something, and they kind of turn away from that family to go find a different one.
And on that, I think we can end our session for the day. Okay, so thank you everyone for tuning into this episode of Transplanar RPG. I've been your GM and producer, Connie Chung. You can find me on Twitter, Itch, and Patreon at by Connie Chung, BYCONNICHANG. Pass along introductions to Lyra.
Hello, everyone. My name's Lara. I use they, them, and she, her pronouns. I'm the artistic director of Shout, Minnesota's trans and gender diverse voices, an all-trans choir based in the Twin Cities. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Shout Minnesota. Go ahead, Erica.
Hi, everybody. I'm Erica. I played V-Nox Scherzo, and you can find me anywhere at Erica New Girl. I do stream Monday, 2:30 p.m. Central. I'll be playing Battletoads. Come watch me stream. I regret literally every word that comes out of my mouth, much like V-Nox Scherzo with that new name. Max, take it away.
Hey, I'm Max. My pronouns are they, them. I play Dewey Quirk, Royal Studyist. You can find me on Twitter once in a while, lurking at Starchmonger. I'm also on Instagram at Starchmonger, where I also lurk. Pass it to C.
Hey y'all, my name is C. I use they, them pronouns. I play the formerly dead Oka Hien, the physical embodiment of when you disappoint your parents so bad that they have to kill you about it. You can find me posting very gay, very trans art on my social medias, generally speaking, all over the internet at PieSharpArt, and occasionally streaming said very gay, very trans art here on Twitch at Pie_Sharp. And next week, I will have gotten top surgery. The next time you see me, I'll be very different. So hell yeah, that's what's up. And I'll pass it to Connie for the rest of our outro, I suppose.
Heck yeah, stick around for the raid. We're going to be raiding Jude, Mermaid Royal. They're fantastic. They're just chatting right now. Even if you can't stick around for too long, toss them a follow, say hi in chat, tell them that Transplanar sent you here, use the raid message. Awoka is now a sub emote. I fixed it, so you should be able, if you're a sub, to use that in Jude's channel. So just go ahead, feel free to use Awoka in Jude's channel. We love you all so much. We're going to see you next Tuesday, October 12th at 7 p.m. U.S. Central Time for the next installment of the Hounds of Mercy. Mercy's been kidnapped by pirates. What's gonna happen? And of course, next Saturday, October 16th, for the next installment of our main campaign of Transplanar RPG, where we investigate who's the treasonous snake who's collaborating with the assassin who's working for the stranger, ? Who could it be? Is it V? Is V the snake in the grass? Who knows? They're definitely the snake in Rev's pants. And with that, we're going to raid Mermaid Royal. Jude, Accept this chaotic energy. We love them. We love you all. Peace.